As the sun set, casting an eerie orange hue across the sky, Daniel stepped out of the cab and looked up at Hollowmoor Manor. The towering structure loomed before him, its dark, weathered stones seemingly absorbing the last light of day. He had inherited the house from an uncle he barely knew, but there was something unsettling about this place, a chill in the air that didn't seem to come from the evening breeze. His phone beeped. No signal. Typical. The isolation of the place already sent shivers down his spine. The silence was deafening, except for the occasional flutter of birds or the rustle of wind through the dead trees. The large wooden door creaked open as if it had been waiting for him. Inside the manor, dust hung in the air like mist, and every step Daniel took echoed in the empty hallways. He reached the grand staircase when something stopped him in his tracks. A whisper. Faint, almost inaudible. "Daniel!" His heart skipped a beat. He spun around, expecting someone to be there, but the hallway was as empty as when he had entered. Was his mind playing tricks on him? Or had someone called his name? He strained his ears, but the house had returned to silence. Every minute passed slowly, his pulse racing as he ascended the staircase. Daniel continued exploring the upper floor, his flashlight flickering as though the batteries were about to die. The manor creaked around him, but something else caught his eye. A shadow moving unnaturally, darting between the doors. He froze, the beam of his flashlight trembling as he followed the movement. He could swear it wasn't his imagination this time. Another minute passed, and the shadow appeared again, this time behind him. He felt a presence breathing down his neck. His skin crawled as he whirled around, but there was no one there. Only the sound of his own ragged breathing filled the hall. After hours of searching, Daniel found himself drawn to a room at the end of the hall, the door locked. His uncle's study? The key jingled in his hand as he unlocked the door, revealing a room untouched by time. Dust-covered furniture, old books, and a large desk stood in the center. On the desk was an old journal, open to a page with hurried, desperate handwriting. "They know. They are coming for me. There is no escape. They live in the walls." A sudden crash from behind made Daniel drop the journal. The door, which had been securely closed, swung open on its own. The journal led Daniel to a hidden door behind a bookshelf, opening into a crawl space that ran through the walls of the manor. His flashlight illuminated the tight, claustrophobic space lined with spiderwebs and dirt. His breath became shallow as he crawled deeper. Every minute felt like an eternity. The whispering voices returned, louder now. "Daniel!" The walls seemed to close in on him, the air thick with an oppressive presence. Suddenly, a cold, skeletal hand reached out from the darkness, brushing his leg. He screamed, scrambling backward, but there was no escape. Daniel burst out of the crawl space, gasping for air. He was back in the grand hall, but something was wrong. The atmosphere had changed, thick, suffocating. A figure stood at the far end of the hall, its face shrouded in shadow, but Daniel could feel its eyes on him. The figure whispered his name, the voice chilling and familiar. His pulse raced. He tried to run, but his feet wouldn't move. The figure drifted closer, extending a hand. The walls of the manor groaned, the structure warping and bending as if alive. Every second felt like the last. "There is no escape." Conclusion. The whispers grew louder, drowning out everything. As the figure reached him, everything went black. The manor stood silent once more, its secrets buried in its walls, waiting for the next soul to claim.